Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everyone at Icon Coaching.
Simon, congratulations, man. You know what that is?
That's winning.
It's winning, baby. I love it when you're winning. That's fantastic.
I got 2 under contract, so that's like 2.8 million in 2 weeks.
You've got to take control of your production to make sure that you're making more money, your bank account balance is rising, that your net worth is increasing, and that's what we want to see happen.
So that they can save the listing.
Which I'm really, really thankful for, Sean. Thank you.
See everyone coming on board.
Welcome to Icon Coaching's webinar. Well, hello, everybody. Hey, listen, I just want to thank you for being here. And I think the webinar has started. Day, is the webinar started?
Yes, Rob. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, my name is Rob Daniel. I'm the CEO of Icon Coaching. And boy, are you in for a treat today. Yes, you are. We have Shon Kokoszka, the founder of Icon Coaching. And here's the deal. How would you like to go on 162 listing presentations and take 160? Now, that is phenomenal. And let me just say this, Sean certainly has a wonderful personality and that kind of thing, and everybody knows that, but it's also the content of the listing presentation itself. Sean believes that anybody, can take these listings with this type of listing presentation. Anybody can. I was thinking about that just for a moment. All of a sudden it hit me. You know what? The movie I saw day before yesterday, Sean, Ratatouille. I don't know if you ever seen that movie with the little chef rat, and Gaston wrote a book that says anybody can cook. If you just have the recipe and that kind of stuff. Anybody can take great listings and get listings if they go by what you're saying and the listing presentation that has been created to be able to take 160 out of 162. So here, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the wonderful Shon Kokoszka.
Well, thank you, Rob. And Rob Daniel, the CEO of Icon Coaching, guys, he is doing a remarkable job. I'm just so impressed with the team that you've built, Rob. And I just thank you all for being here. In fact, I have a great deal of respect for your investment of time, and I don't take that lightly. In fact, I have just a couple of very specific goals for each and every one of you. Number one, I want to really change the way you look at things so the things you look at can change. In order to get to better game, we do recognize we must get to different. So I'm going to share a bit of a philosophy with you, a mindset as it relates to listing presentation and how to increase your conversion rate. I talk to some agents, man, they'll take 1 out of every 3 listing appointments they go on. I think, my goodness gracious, I don't want to waste that much time. And I don't want you to waste any time. I want you to go on appointments that are worthy of your time. Okay, so as part of you showing up today and just registering free of charge, I want to send each and every one of you the pre-listing qualifying questions. Now, I'm going to email that to you right after our webinar. We're going to send it out with the replay link. So Day, Rob, I know you're active on the webinar with us. Go ahead and make a special note. We're going to send out the 24 pre-listing qualifying questions as just our gift to you so that you guys can pre-qualify each and every listing appointment. We're going to talk about it a little bit today during our webinar. Yet, my purpose for being here is you. Quite honestly, I believe that you have more potential inside of you than you're currently demonstrating. And it's not because you don't want to, it's because maybe you just haven't looked at it from a different angle. And guys, I've been doing this for 33 years. It's a long time. I've split test this to the moon and back to increase the conversion rates as much as possible. So my job today is to really transfer that knowledge, transfer that mindset to you so that you have things that you can implement and deploy within your business, within your strategy right now to get you the results that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and just bear with me real quick as we pull this together. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's get into presentation mode though too here. There we go. All right, so quick review of this model toward mastery, you guys. I just I want you to have some basic context as to where you're at right now and what needs to happen for you to get to that next level of success. And, oh, so sorry. There we go. Here we go. All right, so if you want to draw this out, gang, it's going to turn into a pyramid. Then you can do 4 horizontal lines through the center of the pyramid to create 5 sections to this pyramid. So just hang in there with me. We're going to get through this quickly. At the base of this pyramid, well, it's your foundation. And if you want to label this model, call it the model toward mastery. Now, there's 4 things that impact the strength, the depth, the width, the amount of steel and concrete within your foundation. It's your knowledge, skills, mindset, and habits. So today, it's my intention to strengthen your foundation with the right foundation. Gang, you can build your business as big as you want to build it. And I want to see it be as big as you want it to be. Now, with that said, remember the definition of the word success, according to Webster's dictionary, was getting what you want, not what somebody else thinks you should want. It's what you want. So it's my intention just to equip you so that you can get more of what you want when you want it. Maybe you want to close 5 transactions a year. Fantastic. If you're doing that and you're getting what you want, you're massively successful in my eyes. Maybe you prefer to close 500 transactions a year or over 1,000. As long as you're getting what you want, you're a success. All right, so moving on. As we go up this model toward mastery, next is your pipeline phase. Gang, this is everything that you're doing proactively, reactively to identify and earn the business of the buyer and seller prospects in the marketplace today. And today, we're going to share a couple of strategies and tactics with you to set that next listing appointment. Now, with tenacity, you're going to break through to the next phase of this model, which is momentum, which is the greatest magnifier. When you lack momentum, you look 10 times worse than you actually are. And when you possess momentum, you look 10 times better. Now, once we get you to momentum, if you don't want to fall backward the next month, back down to the pipeline, just to get to momentum the following month and back down again, it's critically important that you get to the next phase of this model, which is leverage. Now, there's 4 categories. It's models, systems, technology, and people. One of the things I want you to do right after this webinar, during this webinar, I want you to just set up a free coaching call with me directly. Just go to iconcoaching.com, go to the coaching tab and select that set up free coaching call. Just go ahead and set it up. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Spend 30 minutes with me and let's talk about you. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about new strategies and tactics or new mindsets that must be installed for you to get to that next level of success. Again, no cost, no obligation. Let's just get to know each other. Let me get to know your business and make a few suggestions to help you just tweak it here and there to make all the difference in the world. All right. With tenacity, again, we're going to break through to the final phase of this model, which is mastery. Now, Malcolm Gladwell will tell you it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. So to me, it's a lifetime journey. It's also a journey of decision making. I mean, what are the things that you should focus on mastery? Because some of you are focusing on mastering some things that are part of the 80% work versus the 20% work. You know, Pareto's principle. 20% of your actions in real estate sales are going to yield at least 80% of your results. Now, that 20% job description list, it's short. So you don't have to master all things, just a handful of things, just 5 things, in fact. The first is practice. You got to know what to say. You got to know what to do. So practice, that leads to improving your knowledge. I think you would agree. That improves your skill set too, by the way. So when we focus on practice, it goes to that 3rd category of foundation, which is mindset. It's going to improve that, right? So following practice is lead generation. And what is the standard that you've set for yourself? And maybe you have some team members. What's the standard you've set for them? And how do you hold them and yourself accountable to making that happen daily? One of the greatest challenges in our business game, we're independent contractors, right? We want all the freedom, all the flexibility, and we struggle with ways to truly be accountable, doing the things we need to do to accomplish what we choose to accomplish. So many times it's not a skill set issue, it's a decision issue. Once you decide on a standard, you must hold the line. Now, my input to you is a minimum of 10 live conversations a day is absolutely going to change your world in about 90 days. Now, what we do in business today, it doesn't show up tomorrow. It generally shows up 60, 90 days down the road. 10 live conversations a day. That's where the rubber meets the road, gang. more conversations equals more appointments. More appointments equals more conversation or more contracts, excuse me. More contracts equals more money. Bigger bank account balance, higher net worth. And these are all the things that I know that you want. So lean in with me, tune in today again, and take a look at this model. Answer these two questions real quick. Which phases are you in? And what are you willing to commit to this week to get even an inch closer to the next phase of the model? Answering those two questions will undoubtedly help you understand. Here's where I'm at today, and let's get real and right about that with no judgment whatsoever. I don't care if you're at the bottom of the bottom, if you have 0 buyer prospects, 0 active listings, a negative bank account balance. I don't care. Let's get real and right about it. No judgment, because where you're at today in real estate sales has no bearing on where you're going to be 90 days down the road with aggressive and appropriate action. So let's talk about aggressive and appropriate action just real quick. And I do have another question for you. So remember, the quality of the question really determines the quality of the answer. And here's a very powerful question. What is not being done in your business right now that if it were being done, then your business would increase to a very high level? What is not being done that if it were being done at a very high level, it would dramatically impact the results of your business? In fact, go ahead and type in the chat if you don't mind. What do you think your answer is? What is not being done that if it were being done, it would dramatically impact your results in a positive way? Type it in the chat real quick. What is not being done that if it were being done, it would dramatically impact your results? Let's make sure they have the ability to type into the chat too, guys. For most of you, that's going to be lead generation, lead conversion, lead follow-up calls. Maybe it's proactive lead generation. And what are your strategies? How do you intend to generate listing leads? I mean, because there's 1,000 things you could do. The question is, well, what should you do? What do you enjoy doing? What feels like effortless energy that yields a listing appointment to you? Because again, there's 1,000 things you could do. Let's narrow it down just a handful of things that you should do. And if you have more than 5 strategies engaged at once, you'd better have leverage in place. And I see some of the chats are coming in now. Thank you so much. So yeah, lead generation, that seems to be a very common theme. Organized to-do list and to delegate. Oh man, I love this subject. I love that. And thank you, Dorothy, for typing that out. See, many of us, we tend to work a to-do list, right? Now, the challenge with the to-do list, number one, is they seem to be very lengthy, right? I mean, if I wrote down a to-do list, there'd probably be 2 or 3 pages worth of handwritten notes of things that I could do. Now, the question is, well, what should I do? So rather than working a to-do list, I'd much rather see you work a success list. Now, a success list is short while a to-do list is really long. Now, it's short because it makes getting to the heart of the matter the heart of the approach. I think you would agree. So if you had 25 things that you could do, here's my input. Apply Pareto's principle to your to-do list. 20% of 25 things, well, that's 5 things. And once you've narrowed it down to 5 things, well, then narrow it down even one more time. Go extreme Pareto. 20% of 5 things, well, that's 1 thing. That allows you to focus on the most important task of the moment. See, I collaborated with Gary Keller and Jay Papasan in the writing of the book, The One Thing, and then I created all the training curriculum on the back end of the success of that #1 New York Times bestseller. Now, what we found in doing the research is that most agents were investing most of their time into the 80% stuff, yet those that were achieving that, netting $1 million every single year, they gave an inordinate amount of their time to the 5 things on the 20% job description list. And again, it's practice, lead generation, then lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts. So I'd suggest that you just go extreme Pareto. Now, there was a common misconception in writing the book, The One Thing, and that is that it was just one thing. And everybody's walking around saying, what's my one thing? What's my one thing? They're missing the point. The point is that it's not just one thing. It is, however, one thing at a time. Success is sequential. It's not simultaneous. So we live in a cause and effect world. We recognize when one thing happens, then something else is soon to follow. There's no doubt about that. So if you want to boil this business down to the very simplistic, The bottom line is this. The number of deals that you're going to do year after year is in direct correlation to the number of conversations that you can create. Now, obviously, if you're in a prospecting-based business that's enhanced by marketing, then you're doing a lot of telephone work. Maybe you're door knocking. Heck, maybe you're setting up shop in Starbucks and you're creating conversations left, right, and center. However you choose to do that in a prospecting-based business, that's up to you. Minimum 10 live conversations a day. Once you pad the coffers, once you get a little cash in your bank account, then I've got some really strong suggestions for you that are actually going to make your phone ring. That's going to generate tons of leads for you. And then you're focusing not so much on proactive lead generation, you're focused on lead conversion. And that's the first step in the evolution to going beyond 100 transactions a year, is to make that shift from a prospecting-based business into more of a marketing-based business that's enhanced by prospecting. And I trust that I'm making sense to you. Again, if you have follow-up questions, just schedule your free one-on-one coaching call with me, guys. Again, no cost, no obligation. I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know your business a little bit. And thank you again for that, Dorothy. An organized to-do list. Apply Pareto's principle to your to-do list. Focus on the priority of the moment. Now, I'll give you one other suggestion, Dorothy, and everybody else. Apply what I call the focusing question. That's at the core of the book, The One Thing. It's this humble little question, and I'll give it to you real quick. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So when you look at this overwhelming list that almost paralyzes you, man, I've got to do all of these things, then you just, in order to get out of that feeling of overwhelm and get into action, apply the focusing question against your to-do list. Out of these 25 things, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? See, the challenge in working a to-do list is that we get a release of endorphins when we get across something off that list. I think you would agree with me. So what do we do inherently as human beings? We tackle the easiest thing on that list first. Sadly, it's not the one thing that's going to move the needle for your production or your bank account balance. Am I right? It's generally one of the easiest things on that list. And the easiest thing on the list is not the thing that's going to increase your bank account balance. Okay, so apply the focusing question, focus your time in the priority of the moment, get it across the goal line, and then it's on to the next thing. And if you want more suggestions, just schedule that free one-on-one coaching call with me. So every listing appointment, guys, I would strongly encourage you to pre-qualify every listing appointment. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels, you're driving all over town, you're investing time into CMAs and marketing materials, and you're just wasting your time. And time is the only inventory that we have in this business. Let me say that again. Your time is the only inventory that you have in this business. And where you choose to invest it is going to set your trajectory in terms of number of transactions you close, the amount of money that you make, and the impact that you can have, not only to your prospects and your clients, yet your friends and your family members as well. I'm going to send the pre-qualifying questions to you. There's 24 of them. There's 2 of which I want to address right now because I get a lot of pushback from agents when I ask them to ask their seller prospects these 2 of the 24 questions. Number 1 is, have you considered selling your house all on your own for sale by owner and not use a realtor? A lot of agents say, well, Shon, if I ask them that question, aren't I just kind of planting the seed in the mind that maybe they could sell it without a realtor and they're just going to go for sale by owner? Well, here's my input. Here's my guidance, guys. And I do this very humbly, of course. If they're going to go for sale by owner, when do you want to know? Do you want to know after the listing presentation, when you see their little plastic sign that they bought at Lowe's with their Sharpied phone number on the front of the sign that says for sale by owner in their front yard? Do you want to learn that way? Or do you want to learn before the listing presentation so you can go in really prepared to take that listing? To give a problem presentation first, convincing them that going for sale by owner is not the appropriate course of action, yet to list with you it is. See, if you know up front, you can modify your approach. You can start with the problem presentation and then segue right into a listing presentation. Okay, and by the way, I would recommend, I would suggest that every for sale by owner in your market area, they probably talked to 2 to 3 realtors before they listed for sale by owner. They probably even had at least one agent come out to the home to tour the property to give a price opinion before they went for sale by owner. Of course, the realtor had no idea They left without a signed listing contract just to find out later that they're going for sale by owner. Ouch. Now, whose fault is that? It's the agent's fault for simply not asking the question. The next question is, are you interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling your house? Again, a lot of agents say, Shon, I would never ask that because now I'm just suggesting that they need to interview more than one agent. Well, NAR will tell you that 83% of home sellers interview just one agent before listing their property for sale. So you got about a 17% chance that they're going to say, yes, I'm interviewing more than one agent. And that's okay. Now, once you get the answer to that question, yeah, Shon, I'm interviewing 2 other agents besides you before we make a decision. Now, once you understand that, you have an opportunity. You can either demand to go first, or you can demand to go last. And which would you prefer? In fact, type in the chat real quick. Type in the chat, would you rather go first or would you rather go last? First or last? Go ahead and type it in the chat. First or last, guys, come on. All you have to do is just move your mouse down to that lower third, click that little chat icon and type it in there. Let's talk about going first, okay? If you go first, I'd encourage you to master the scripting, the dialogue of requesting from the seller that you contact the other agents and simply cancel their listing appointments. Meaning, I've already invested the time, the energy, the money, the resources to do all the comp research, to put this presentation together for you, to show you exactly what your house would fetch in today's market. And since those other agents haven't invested that time yet, time away from their families and things like that, I've done this for many other sellers in the past. I'll be happy to call them right now and just say, hey, they were really excited to meet with you and hear what you had to say, yet they decided to make the decision to list with me. And yet, if you bring us a buyer, I'll happily split the commission 50-50 with you. You know, I've called many other realtors in the past saying exactly those words. I'll do it right here from the table if you prefer. And guys, there is very few other things that are more gratifying than contacting one of your competitors to cancel their listing appointment. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a competitive person. I find a lot of joy in that for some crazy reason. The second choice is you could demand to go last. Both strategies work. However, if you demand to go last and somebody like me comes in who has mastered that scripting and can high pressure close them for maybe a small discount on the listing commission, if you sign right now, I'll discount it to this. But if I walk out that door, that discount's off the table and you're going to list at this if you come back. So they might use high pressure tactics to get the listing before you had an opportunity. So if you choose to go last, part of the plus side to going last is that you don't have to be better than the other agents. You just don't. You do have to be as good though, okay? Now, sellers generally remember the first person and the last person. I would never want to go in the middle. For example, do y'all remember the first car that you purchased? Right when you got your driver's license, do you remember that first car that you drove? Well, of course you do. Do you remember the car you drive now? Of course, yeah, of course you do. Do you remember the third car that you owned, or the fourth, or the fifth? Well, they tend to kind of blend together, right? You don't really remember them as much as the first or the last. So either go first or go last. Yet if you go last, nail down, tighten down every screw. So, Mr. Seller, I recognize that you do intend to interview other agents. Here's what I'd request is that I go last. And the reason for that is because here at the Kokoszka Group, we do so many more things from a marketing perspective to get more buyers' interest in your property. And we understand economics, supply and demand, right? I mean, the supply is your house. The supply is not increasing. You only have one house, right? If I can increase the demand though, well, then your price only goes one way. Which way do you suppose that is? Of course, it's up. So these other agents, they may come in with, smoke and mirror tactics, high pressure closes and things like that. And they're going to do their very best to get you to sign with them while they're there. I need you to resist the temptation and hear what I have to say. So can you promise me that if I go last, that you're not going to list with somebody before you have the chance to meet with me? Do we have a deal? So guys, tighten down every screw. Just get their commitment. And most people want to stay true to their word. If you go last, you're still going to have them cancel on you from time to time, or maybe another agent calls you to cancel your listing appointment. So if you choose to go last, just be prepared for that. I prefer to go first because I want to cancel the other listing appointments for them. Trust that makes sense. So I'm going to send you all 24 questions. Those are the 2 that I wanted to focus in on. One of my clients, Mark Spain, he said this: my biggest aha in real estate business is you got to list to last. Now, here's a gentleman, by the way, he and his team in 7 different states, they'll close over 8,000 transactions a year. And when somebody closing over 8,000 transactions a year says, if you want to last in this business, you better list in this business, I encourage you to pay attention. See, because anytime you take a listing, you already know that it's complete leverage for you and your business. Once you put a sign in somebody's front yard, every realtor who's part of your local board, your MLS, has now joined your team, and they're there to help you get that listing sold. You can go sit on a beach and still make money. That's what we want to do. Okay, so every seller that I worked with, they got a seller workbook. It was delivered to their property along with the pre-listing packet before I showed up. So usually the day before, a couple of days before, they would get the pre-listing packet. It pre-sold me. By the way, if you sign up for a free coaching session with me, I'll give you every document that's associated with my pre-listing packet in a format that you can modify it. So it'll be in a Word type format, so you can modify it to, I just want to make this simple for you to implement and deploy this like right now. This is why you should show up to every one of these webinars, because I just intend to overload you guys with just every free bit of content that is going to absolutely dramatically change your business. Okay. So this is the workbook itself. That's the front cover of it. That's what it looked like. And seller survey is part of the pre-listing packet. Now the seller survey asks all the qualifying questions. I'm going to include that in what I email to you guys. You can also see that this is a fill in the blank format. So this is page 2 of the workbook. You can see that the blanks are there. And as I go through my PowerPoint slide deck on my laptop or tablet, then as a word flies in, they fill in the blanks. It keeps them engaged. They remember more of what they write down, and it just ups the professionalism of this game. Okay, so again, 2 pages of fill in the blank. Then there's the calculating your bottom line. That's 47 easy ways to make your home sell faster. You know, how we're going to syndicate the listing, how we're going to get more buyer traffic, comparable sales. They can take some notes. And once their home goes under contract, we're going to use this document to fill in the blanks and deadlines associated with their buy-sell agreement. They're instructed to pull this out of their workbook, put it somewhere they can easily get their hands on it. Once they filled in these blanks, that eliminated a lot of unnecessary phone calls into our office. Okay, so that's the workbook. And the seller survey was page 1. Okay, now I would tour the home all on my own before I would sit down at the table to discuss listing their property. Now, why do you think I toured the home all on my own, rather than having the seller walk me through it? Talk to me, guys. Why would I tour it on my own? A lot of people say, well, isn't that a great time to build rapport with your seller? Well, yeah, I would agree with that. Yet think about the amount of time that it takes to have a seller tour you through their home. I mean, when I first started in real estate, I would have the seller tour me. Some of these walkthroughs, you guys, they took over an hour. You got to be kidding me. How am I going to do over 500 transactions a year if my listing, just the tour of my listing presentation takes an hour plus? I'm never going to be able to do that. So time is number 1. Number 2, and more importantly, though, is as a seller is touring you through their property, what are they pointing out to you as they tour you through the property? Go ahead and type in the chat. What are they pointing out to you? What do you think? Ooh, I like this. Will Fendon, good job, man. Because you look at it objectively like the buyer agent will, and that's exactly right. No doubt about that. That gives you justification to that seller. So, and yes, Tanya, or I think it's, oh, Tony D, there you go. They're pointing out the good stuff. That's exactly right. All the options, all the upgrades, all the remodel projects, all the money they've invested in the property. Now, what are they doing psychologically as they're pointing out all of the upgrades, all of the improvements? Aren't they psychologically justifying maybe a higher price for their property? Now, guys, this is terrifying to me because you know that there's only one reason that a listing expires, right? Because it's overpriced. Guys, I have sold, and forgive the expression, but I have sold turds I mean, complete turds. I would never live there. No way. But I've sold them because we price them appropriately. You understand? I've sold homes that back up to 8-lane highways. You can't even have a conversation in the backyard. It's so darn noisy because of the traffic noise. Yet I was able to sell that entire subdivision out because we priced it according to the location. That's it. So guys, bottom line is this. If it's priced appropriately, it's going to sell. No question about that, especially if you've taken the time to qualify your seller up front. So we're going to go ahead and send over the seller survey for you as well. And by touring the property yourself, you, like me, you can tour a home in 5 minutes, take some great notes, write down a couple of questions you can ask the seller when you meet him at the table. Yet, let me kind of back up a step. When I show up to the listing presentation, and my mother taught me this because she told me all realtors are late. Now, not all realtors are late. We get that. And I wanted to be one that was punctual, somebody who was on time. So I'd show up right at the appropriate time, knock on the door, and I would look at my watch when they open the door and say, "Hi, I'm Shon Kokoszka." I look at my watch. "We had an appointment at 6 o'clock and it is 6 o'clock. May I come in?" They'd say, "Yes, please come on in, Shon." Well, I'd have a couple of moving boxes, like medium-sized moving boxes that were branded to my organization. So it had my logo, it had my website, my phone number, it had the lender's contact information on there as well on the box itself. And the lender paid for all of it. So I zero-based that. But I'd walk in, had my briefcase over my right shoulder, I had 2 boxes under my left arm. And I would say, "Listen, I've never met a house seller who maybe didn't want to declutter some closets to allow them to appear to be as large as possible to any potential buyers. So I just brought you a couple of boxes to give you a head start, help you make that happen. And by the way, once your home goes under contract, we'll give you as many moving boxes as you need. I mean, wardrobe size boxes, large boxes, small boxes, whatever you need. Our courier is going to deliver them to you, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? And by the way, do you mind if we sit at your kitchen table?" And they'd say, "Sure." So they'd guide me over to the kitchen table. Oh, by the way, if they offer you something to drink, what do? Do you accept it? I say absolutely. They want to be a good host to you. And if you decline, well, that just kind of leaves it feeling like, well, I tried. Rather, say yes every single time. This reminds me of a listing presentation that I went on in a subdivision. Those of you in the Denver market, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a subdivision called Montbello, which there are certain parts of that sub area that maybe aren't really that great. Okay, let's just call it what it is. It's just not awesome, right? And I went on a listing presentation in Montbello, and the gal answers the phone. You know, she's got kids running all over the place. The house is a complete mess. Kitchen is a disaster. And we go over to the kitchen table. She says, "Would you like something to drink?" And as always, I said, yeah, please. Thank you so much for offering. That's so kind of you. Well, she goes over to this kitchen sink that is just mounded up with dishes. She grabs this glass out of this mound of dirty plates, right? And she rinses it out under the faucet, dumps it out, and then fills it up with water from the tap and brings it over to the kitchen table and sets it there for me. And I said, "Thank you so much. Now, do you think I drank it?" Hell no, I didn't drink it. No, but I still said yes. No, I didn't drink it. But the bottom line is say yes when they offer, okay? Now, I would then explain to them that they're going to fill in the blanks in the workbook as I go through the presentation. That it keeps me on track and it allows us to use our time very wisely. And of course, I encourage them to interrupt me if they have any questions at all. So the listing presentation, this is the first slide of my slide deck, okay? They're going to complete the seller survey. So it just simply states, as your realtor tours your home, or your house, excuse me, and that's a point I want to make just real fast. When we're talking with a seller, I want you to use the word house. When you're talking with a buyer, I want you to use the word home. And I want you to think about the energy of each of those words, right? Words create energy and emotion. And when we use the right words, we create the right energy and the right emotion. See, the word home to me, man, that's personal. That is full of emotion to me. A home is someplace I'm going to build and store family memories. I'm going to embrace this home, if that makes sense. So with a seller, we want them to emotionally detach. And the word house to me creates the energy like it's just a house, man. It's plastic, right? I can emotionally detach from a house. When working with a buyer, we want them to embrace the home, right? So as your realtor tours your house, please take a moment to complete the seller survey. Your realtor will complete a walkthrough of the property, viewing the house through through a buyer's eyes. You and your realtor will complete a walkthrough together at a later time to create the list of features, benefits to highlight the marketing of your house. Okay, so that's the first slide that they see. They sit down, they're completing the seller survey. I take 5 minutes, I tour the property. I come back to the table, I compliment them on a couple of things, I ask a couple of questions, then we dive into the presentation, okay? So here's the presentation. You guys ready? I'm going to treat you like one of my sellers, if that's okay. So we're just going to get into a real play, all right? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, really, I have 3 very important goals for our time together today. Number 1 is we're going to review your motivation. Now, anytime a word appears, they're going to fill in the blank, right? So we're going to review your motivation to sell and agree on a price that will cause it to sell. So go ahead and fill in those 2 blanks in your workbook. That's fantastic. Second, we'll take a few moments and I'll answer any questions that you may have. And by the way, let's play interrupter rules. So if you have any questions as I'm going through the presentation, just interrupt me. You have my permission. Is that okay? Fantastic. Now, next, we're going to decide today whether or not you want to work with me, and I'll decide whether or not I want to take your listing. Is that fair? Perfect. So now what I'm doing is I'm playing kind of the takeaway game, right? So I might not want to list your property. Maybe you don't qualify for the caliber of seller that I choose to work with, right? So I have 3 critical questions. Number 1, do you really want to sell your house? No, do you really want to sell your house? Fantastic. Are you willing to price your house to sell, or do you want it to sit on the market month after month after month? No, Sean, of course we want it to sell. That's perfect. Do you want me to sell it for you? Now remember, 83% of the time, on average, guys, they're going to say yes. Now here's my input. Complete the presentation. Complete the presentation, because if you just went right to the listing paperwork and said, okay, here, sign here, which by the way, as another sidebar comment, I encourage you to do a 1-page commitment to sell. What I found is that when I brought the entire listing contract already pre-filled out and all the disclosures along with me, that my listing presentation increased in time by about 45 minutes. I had to sit there and explain every paragraph of the contract, and this is where most objections would occur. By doing a 1-page simple commitment to sell, which was already filled out, right? So it had today's date, property address with a blank. So I just handwrite in the property address, seller's names, I'd write in their legal names according to the legal description, and then it would outline the request price, and I'd write that in. Then already pre-filled in, it said buyer agent commission 3%, listing agent commission 3%, total commission 6%. Then there's a simple paragraph. It said, I have reviewed the above and I've agreed to list my property with the Kokoszka Group. They can begin the staging process immediately. I recognize that the listing paperwork will be emailed to me for electronic signature within 24 hours, and they can begin the staging process. Seller would sign it, I would sign it. As soon as they signed it, I snapped a picture of it, sent it off to my transaction coordinator. They'd put together the listing contract, the disclosure, email it over to the seller for their e-signature. So a 1-page commitment to sell gets you out of that house faster and allows you to really wring it out in terms of the time that you're investing, okay? My goal was always to be in and out on a listing appointment with a signed commitment to sell in 20 minutes. That was my goal. Now, it didn't always happen. Sometimes it took 30. Sometimes it took 40 minutes, but it was a rare occasion that went beyond that, okay? So now we're going to review your goals, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Remind me again, where are you moving to? When do you need to be there? What's important to you about that? And ultimately, what will that do for you? What will that do for your family? Fantastic. Well, I think you deserve all of those things, and I know I can make that happen for you. Now, here's the scripting I would use. So what you see on your screen right now is not part of the slide deck that I would present to the seller. I just want to give you the script here. Feel free to screenshot this, do whatever you want to do, yet I would then start the presentation like this. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 2 things that I'm looking forward to discussing with you today. One of which is a pricing strategy to determine what price your house will realistically expect to fetch in today's market. The other is a marketing strategy where I'll share everything that I'll do and my team will do to get your house sold quickly and for top dollar. Then I would say, given the 2 choices or the 2 options, which would you prefer to discuss first? The price of your house or my marketing approach? Which is it? Now, guys, what did they always say? What do they always say? Every single time without fail. So here's the slide. I would say here's the two things we're going to talk about: pricing strategy or my marketing strategy. Which would you prefer to discuss first? Every single time they choose pricing strategy. Every time. Yeah, how do most agents do it? Talk to me, guys. How do they do it? I mean, don't they generally want to talk about, here's what I'm going to do. Here's my marketing approach. Let me brag on myself a little bit, pat myself on the back, because here's what I'm going to do to get your property sold. And then an hour later, we're going to start talking about comps and active listings that you're going to be competing with for a buyer. We're going to finally start talking about price. I'm sure that poor seller is just bored to tears. They're like, oh, finally, we're going to talk about what I want to talk about, which is the price of my property. So I wanted to create this illusion of control by asking the question. Just give them the option, knowing full well they're always going to say pricing strategy. So when they'd say pricing strategy, and by the way, here's the script. I would say, I'm so glad you said that, because our company has made a science of pricing property for sale. Now, there are really 3 different pricing strategies to select from. The first is the retail strategy, which means that we're going to start high, then we're going to reduce the price, reduce the price, reduce the price. Then we're going to move it over to the outlet malls, to the clearance rack, put it on sale, and make it go away. Not my favorite approach. There's a lot of brain damage, a lot of headache, a lot of hassle in that type of approach, where sellers actually net less money going the retail strategy. The second strategy is the less is more strategy, meaning we analyze those homes that have recently sold. We look at the houses you'd be competing with for a buyer, and we dramatically undercut the market. Now, I like this approach. I don't love it. Let me tell you why. Because there's a lot of risk on your part, and there's a lot of pressure on me to get multiple offers. And getting multiple offers using my negotiating skills, and I've done it thousands of times in the past, I'm going to work these buyers back and forth to bring it up to a more acceptable price point for you. Not my favorite approach. It definitely works, though. My favorite approach is the third. It's the competitive pricing strategy, where we analyze those homes that have recently sold. We can compare your house to those homes that the buyers would be looking at as well, just your competition. See, one thing I've learned, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, every buyer that I've ever worked with, they're going to buy through comparison shopping. I've never met a buyer who said, Shon, just show me this one house. It's the only one I want to see, and I'm going to buy it. Well, they're going to do their research. They're going to look at several houses before they make a decision. I think you would agree. So the competitive pricing approach means that we just slightly undercut the market, because all buyers buy the property that they can get the best features, the best benefits for what they can afford. Would you agree with me? Now, given the 3 choices, which strategy is the most comfortable for you? Is it the retail approach? Is it the less is more strategy? Or is it the competitive approach? Which do you feel the most comfortable with? Now, let's kind of brainstorm this real quick. Of the 3 strategies, which do you think is best? And if you're thinking, well, it depends on market conditions, you're absolutely correct. I want you to think back in 2020, late 2020, 2021, 2022. It was a non-skill-based environment as it related to pricing property. You'd go on a listing presentation, the home is worth $700,000. The seller says, well, screw that. I don't want $700,000. I want to list it for $1 million. So you take the listing at $1 million, and guess what? First day on the market, you received 3 offers and got it under contract at $1.4 million. Those days are gone. Those days are long gone. We're now in a skill-based environment where you must become very precise on pricing. No doubt about that. So in any market, the competitive approach is going to work the best. There's no question in my mind. Yet it's just how you position it, how you present it. Now, after we had agreed that we're going to go the competitive approach, then I'm going to give them a little lesson in economics, okay? Average list price to sales price ratio in our market area is 99.2%. What's your median price? I just put in an example of $228,000. Let's do the math real quick. See, most sellers are negotiating down around $2,000 on their request price. Now, I share this information with you right now because, quite frankly, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't make the market. I simply interpret the market. In fact, listing inventory is up right now 16% from the same time last year. Now, economics will tell you that when inventory is up, demand generally goes down. And when demand goes down, what happens to prices? That's right, they can go down as well. So I believe the competitive approach is the best approach for the pricing. Now, you can get these stats from your MLS, from your board. They have them readily available for you. All you have to do is go into the presentation and change these blanks, okay? Currently, there are 6,600 listings available in our multiple listing service in our city. 497 of those houses are currently under contract. And 2,935 of those houses have sold in the last 12 months. This means that we currently have a 23-month inventory in the market, meaning that for all of these properties to be absorbed, it'll take 23 months for them to sell. So undoubtedly, you understand that in today's market, we are entering a competition. So let's talk about winning the competition. See, next, we're going to review the houses that you'll be competing with for a buyer. So I pull at least 3 active listings, and 3 is a good number. You don't need 4, you don't need 5. Frankly, 3 should be your number. Then you ask the seller, have you seen the inside of any of these properties? You definitely want to know that. Otherwise, you might inadvertently put your foot in your own mouth, and you don't want to do that. Have you seen the inside of any of these properties? No, you haven't? Well, let's just say that you had to. Based on the information you see here, and you had to buy one of these houses right this second, which house would you pick and why? So they review it and they say, well, Shon, I think I'd buy this one. You say, well, why would you buy that one? You say, well, it's the least price per square foot. You know, it's got 2 fireplaces instead of the one that the other 2 have. It's got a swimming pool that the others don't have, or whatever they say, right? So undoubtedly, you see where I'm coming from, right? Buyers always buy the house that they see that has the best value for what they want, for what they need, and what they can afford. So I think your decision to go the competitive approach is the right decision. So now what we're going to do, I brought a blank copy of the buy-sell agreement, the contract that you're going to receive from a buyer to purchase your property. I brought a blank contract with me, and I'd like to go through the 4 major contingencies of the buy-sell agreement. That way, when we get an offer, you can move quickly to ensure that we can respond to those buyers almost immediately. So I'd review the 4 major contingencies, and you already know what they are. I mean, it's title, it's home inspection, it's appraisal, and loan approval. So I just quickly describe those 4 major contingencies. It would take me about 3 minutes, 4 minutes maybe, give them a blank copy of the contract. I'd remind them this is a standard form, pre-approved through the Real Estate Commission. All I can do is change the dates and the blanks. That's really it. Now, once we get an offer, it's also going to include earnest money. Maybe you're in a state that also does option money. You'll just modify the slide for that. So it's a check you receive with the offer. It will be deposited when the offer is accepted. Okay, earnest money amount will be about what is common in your market area. 2% of the total offer price, fantastic. Then a quick disclosure that in the event the contract is terminated and we're awarded the earnest money as liquidated damages, well, we split that earnest money for your time off the market and for my marketing efforts and time invested. Is that fair? All right, perfect, fantastic. Let's move on. Now, what I'm going to encourage you to do, I'd encourage you to do a pre-listing inspection. Now, let me tell you the reasons behind that. If a deal is going to fall apart, it's generally, at least 90% of the time, due to inspection issues, because the seller had no idea that they had issues or problems with their property. So when the buyer does their home inspection, they're kind of shocked and they're surprised, and they take offense to it a lot of the times, meaning they say, well, the buyer's not buying a brand new home. I'm not going to fix a darn thing. And the buyer says, well, if they're not going to fix that, I don't want it. And the deal blows up. So by getting a pre-listing inspection, we know what the pitfalls are. We understand what needs to be done. I'd encourage you to engage, and I've got a list of 3 different inspectors here. I want you to engage with a qualified home inspector that will inspect your property and provide you with a list of recommended repairs. We can do those repairs, have the paid invoices available to the buyers to see that you've really done a great job preparing your property for market. Okay. Appraisal. Once your property goes under contract, the home inspection is complete. The next step in the process is getting the property appraised, generally around $450. Could be more, could be less. Yet buyer pays for that appraisal. The buyer's loan originator will order the appraisal for your house. If the appraiser cannot justify the value after reviewing the comparable sales, we'll be forced to renegotiate with that buyer. So to just give you further justification to the competitive approach in pricing, that retail approach, if you start high, let's say that we found a buyer that was just not very savvy, didn't understand how to pull comparable sales, or maybe their agent was just new to the market or something like that, and they're willing to overpay. Even if they're willing to overpay and the appraiser can't justify the value, we're going to have to negotiate our price down to the appraised value anyway. So again, the competitive approach makes the most sense. I think you would agree. So guys, what I want there is a triple opt-in to this competitive approach. And it works. Now, loan approval is the next step in our process, which means your buyer has full loan commitment and we have a reason to celebrate, because generally speaking, it's the final condition of any offer. Next, I want to just segue real quick. I want to talk to you a little bit about your team, okay? You're always working with a specialist at the Kokoszka Group. The benefits to your knowledge, availability, and communication. Now, here's your traditional real estate agent model. They're juggling so many balls, gang, that if they drop one and go to pick it up, all the others are going to fall. No doubt about that. See, the realtor in the traditional model is kind of the center of the universe. I saw some significant challenges with this model, so I created a new one where we take you, our client, and we make you the center of our universe. And we surround you with a list of team members that are there to just make sure that we can get you to the closing table with the fewest amount of hassles possible. Now, let me stop for a second, because many of you are saying, well, Shon, that looks great. It really does. It looks fantastic. But Shon, I'm a solo agent. I don't have a team. And yes, you do. You do have a team. All you have to do is just change the text inside each of these circles, right? Think about your team. Don't you have a mortgage loan originator, a title sales rep? Don't you have a full-time courier through Uber? Of course you do. You have your managing broker. You have maybe you have a buyer specialist on your team. Whatever it is, you can change these circles. Maybe your attorney, your CPA, whatever that is. 3 goals for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Number 1 is my intention to get you the very best price possible. I'm going to get you to the closing table with the fewest amount of hassles, and we're going to do it in the time frame that you desired. When we're successful at these 3 things, we're going to ask you, who do you know who's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate? So you don't make my living off of one sale. I make my living off of happy past customers that are so happy. In fact, they pick up the phone, they give me a call, and let me know about their friends, their family members, their coworkers, people that are looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate. See, we don't want them to end up with a weak agent at a weak moment, do we? So again, who do you know right now, maybe from work, friends, your social circles, social media maybe? Can you think of anybody right now? Well, when you do, I'm going to ask that you pick up the phone and you give me a call so they don't end up with a weak agent at a weak moment. Is that okay? Fantastic. All right. Let's talk a little bit about where buyers come from. Now, guys, I would only use this slide if the seller was just adamant about doing some marketing that I know is not going to be effective. Like I've had sellers like you have in the past who said they want an open house every Saturday and every Sunday as long as they're listed with you. Well, that's a great way to generate buyer leads, and maybe you choose to do that. And if you do, more power to you. Yet if you're carrying 50 listings at once, you can't hold every one of those properties open every Saturday and every Sunday. It's just impossible. So I'd have to sell against that, because only 1% of buyers actually buy the home that they toured at an open house. 3% bought for a combination of reasons. You just go through each one of these points and say, trust me when I tell you this, my marketing dollars will be invested in the areas that are going to yield the highest return for you. My job is to get more buyers interested in your property, therefore decreasing the supply and increasing demand. Does that make sense? Fantastic. So when you make the decision and you list with me, you're going to get access to all kinds of fun things. By the way, you can use our moving truck anytime you want, whenever you want. You don't even have to put gas in it or clean it out. My courier takes care of all of that for you. Get access to our entire team, instant gratification, an easy exit agreement, which is part of our listing contract that just simply states with written notice you can terminate your contract with me. Customer appreciation functions, and I would brag about that a little bit. Maybe even show them a couple of pictures of our last customer appreciation event. Discounts on carpet, appliances, tile, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Convenience of one-stop shopping. By the way, as a sidebar comment, if the property was in need of remodel, I'd work with contractors who would fund the remodel out of pocket. I would either fund it out of pocket or the contractor would fund it out of pocket, but it would be secured by a promissory note and second deed of trust. So I had to meet equity requirements, but we would go in and remodel their kitchen, their bathrooms, put in new carpet, new flooring, whatever it took to make this property present to market at the highest, just condition possible, in essence, to yield a higher price. So for example, if I could sell this property for $350,000 in its current condition, yet if we spent $25,000 on a new kitchen, we could fetch $400,000. Well, it makes sense that we would do a 0% interest loan to the seller to get that work completed. And then my commission went from 6% to 7% to coordinate that effort. Now, there's major benefit in that. I brought a listing to market that would generally go under contract within the first 24 hours. I got an extra percent on my listing commission. Contractors loved funding it because most contractors are at cost plus 20%. The contractors could go in because they were self-funding and securing with promissory note and deed of trust to 0% interest. They could get away with doing cost plus like 30%. So it'd yield more per job, and it helped me get the property sold a heck of a lot faster. So guys, the bottom line is we asked them to engage in our Serious Sellers program, which means that they would complete a qualified home inspection. They would repair any items on that home inspection and provide us with paid invoices, a pest inspection, a clue report. They'd provide a home warranty to the buyer. They would stage the property for sale, professional photography, and create a floor plan. Now, this was part of our system. We'd have a 3-ring binder that had all of this information sitting on the kitchen countertop. So as the buyer agent was touring the property, they could flip through the home inspection. They could see that the seller's already done the repairs. They see the home warranty information, the clue report, the pest inspection. What it does is it creates a profound point of differentiation. So what's in it for the seller? They fetch a higher price, a smoother transaction, and we all love that. Gives you a major point of differentiation in the market, reduces your marketing time, and it gives both the buyer agent, the seller, and you as the listing agent confidence in the process. So I'd encourage you to really systemize that. Now, there are just 5 common listing presentation objections. Number 1, I have other agents to interview. Oh, fantastic. How are you going to handle it? You going to go first? You're going to go last? Another agent will reduce their commission. What do you say? How do you say it? How do you get your full commission on your listing presentation? We want to think it over. Oof, that's scary, isn't it? Another agent will list it for more. Got to know what to say and how to say it to overcome that objection. Or I want a higher price. Now, guys, there's really 4 steps to handling any objection. Number 1, you must acknowledge the objection. It could be something as simple as I completely understand where you're coming from. They're not going to be open to hearing what you have to say until they know that they've been heard. Second, you're going to isolate the objection. Other than just having an agent who says they'll list it for more, is there any other reason you wouldn't list with me today? No, Shon, that's the only reason. I'm just going to go with the highest price. See, now we can overcome the objection. Now, if we fail to isolate the objection, what is on the heels of the previous objection? Of course, another objection. So by isolating the objection, other than blank, is there any other reason you wouldn't blank today? If they say, nope, that's the only reason, they back themselves into a corner, you can handle the objection. Step number 4, ask again for what you want. Ask again for what you want. Acknowledge, isolate, handle, ask again. 4 simple steps. I don't have time to go through each of these objection handlers with you today. However, I want to give you my direct cell phone number. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type it in the chat. And if you want the rebuttal strategy for all 5 of these objections, I want you to drop me a text and show me a little grace. It'll take me a few minutes to get it to you, but I'm going to text you, or actually text me your email, and I'm going to email it to you. That'll be easier. So Shon Sell, 720-341-4876. Text me there your email address, and I'm going to email you the 5 common listing presentation objections. I'm going to send you the objection handling strategy, fully transcribed, to where all you have to do is practice it, rehearse it, make it you, okay, make it yours. You can change the words, that's okay, just stay within the structure, and you're going to increase your conversion rates exponentially. So my number is listed in the chat. If you can see the chat, guys, it's 720-341-4876. And it would help if I put everyone in this chat. Okay, I accidentally sent it to our organizers. I so apologize, guys. I'm going to copy that, repaste, send to everyone. There it is, 720-341-4876. Drop me a text with your email address. I will send you out the 5 objection handlers for the common listing presentation objections. So that is that, you guys. I mean, that is the presentation in and of itself. And I want to ask a couple of questions. How many times did I bring up my marketing plan? Oh, none. Yeah, none. It was a rare occurrence that anybody asked me about marketing. Why? Because of my pre-listing packet. It pre-sold me. It outlined my marketing plan. It did all the heavy lifting for me before I even met them face to face. I walked in that door pre-sold. Guys, 20 minutes in and out with a commitment to sell, listing, agreement signed. It's a 1-page. Let me pull that up and show it to you. Hold on one second, guys. And I'll just post this one to the chat just to make it easy for you. And I did this with a guy named Lance Logan. He's out of Houston. Many of you know Lance Logan. And let me pull his up. It's on my hard drive here somewhere. Here we go. Commitment to sell. I'm going to share my screen. I want you to look at this. It's just so simple and it makes all the sense in the world. And here we go, sharing my screen now. All right, I trust you can see my screen. If not, type into the chat. Let me know you cannot see it. So again, today's date, seller's name, property address, list price, listing commissions already outlined. Unless you're going to do a remodel for resale, 0 cash out of pocket, this number would change to 7%. Or 8%, or whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. Now you can see this paragraph down at the bottom. This letter is to provide notice of my intent to list or sell the above referenced property using the Loken Group as my contracted real estate agent. I understand that the required listing paperwork will be sent to me via email within 24 to 48 hours for completion. However, by signing this letter, I am committing to listing my home with the Loken Group and can begin the listing process by scheduling with the Loken Group stager. They sign it, the listing agent signs it, take a picture, send it to your assistant, and or just bring it home and type out your listing agreement, email it to them. Because you know when they get that electronic signature request, they're just going to go in, initial, sign, initial, and they're going to get through it in like 5 minutes. Or you can spend 35 minutes explaining it to them on the listing presentation. It's totally up to you. I encourage you to do a 1-page commitment to sell. So I am going to post that one to the chat. Bear with me 1 second as I grab that. And get back down to the chat here. I'm working a single screen today, guys. I apologize for the delay. And get the notes pulled back up. Here we go. Okay, and that should be posted there now. Go ahead and grab that right now. You might even put a file on your desktop that says Icon Coaching, because every week we do a webinar, you guys, and I intend to give you something that you can implement and deploy like right now. Just set up a folder on your desktop, Icon Coaching, and just drop these documents in there and just keep dropping them in there. Do this week after week after week with us. You're going to have a full library of content, things that you can implement and deploy like right now. And I'm here to tell you guys, it's not about your marketing approach. What it is about is allowing them to see a brighter future, them accomplishing their goals by working with you. Remember that logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. 99% of the time, I only talk to pricing strategy. Signed listing contract in 20 minutes. I think that's what you want. And if it is, be sure to text me. Text me your email address, and I'm going to send you out several documents that you can implement and deploy right away. Guys, I just appreciate you being here. I really do. And if we could just have if I could talk to you directly, just for a second. We're launching a program coming, I think it's on Thursday. Day, you might want to type the information into the chat. We're launching a program called Accelerated Breakthrough. It's 16 weeks of coaching and training, guys. It's done live and in person. The first session you're going to watch on your own is a do-it-yourself for the first session. You're going to come back a week after our launch date for session number 2. It's going to be live, and it's going to be live every session thereafter, and you can attend all 16 sessions. Guys, this is going to equip you. It's going to give you a rock solid foundation. With the right foundation, you can build your business as big as you want to build it, yet you've got to start somewhere. With this training, with this accountability, you guys, my intention is that you at least double your production over last year, at least. Or maybe you're brand new to real estate. Man, I'm envious, because if I could have gotten this training when I was brand new to real estate, things would have been totally different. I promise you that. Would have been a lot faster. I wouldn't have had to go through all the brain damage I went through to understand what I understand today. I just want to transfer that knowledge to you, shorten the learning curve, help you make a heck of a lot more money a lot faster. So accelerated breakthrough, you guys. They just posted that to the chat. Click that link. 16 weeks, 4 months of coaching and training. When I do this for a team or a brokerage, they pay me $10,000 to present this program. You can invest in yourself. Who better to invest in? $347, that's it, you guys. Or if you prefer a payment plan, $99 a month for 4 months. You got to be kidding me. This is a no-brainer. This is so easy to make that decision. Invest in yourself. Because when you do, recognize your business, your production, your net income, your net worth, it grows to the extent that you personally grow. And I've broken it down. I've made it so simple that a brand new agent could implement and deploy these strategies, doing the assignments between sessions, and wind up with a really successful real estate career. And that's what I want to see for each and every one of you. So you guys, thank you so much for your time, your interaction in the chat. Oh, it's not there. Which one? Let me see. Let me type in my cell phone number again, 720-341-4876. And I'll just put in Sean's cell. There we go. If you don't see that there, it does say that it's from me to everyone. Go ahead and type in the chat and let me know it's not there. And I see Zara posted to the chat your email. If you could just text me that, that would be so helpful. Please do that for me, Zara. Just text me your email address. Then I can very quickly get you the information that I want to give you so that you can just improve your production and your income. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. We do this every week until we do it again next week. Just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.